Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Unbettable. I'm Mondo with Holmes, Gare in his beautiful lighting, beautiful crisp new microphone, and Holmes obviously rocking the Bucks gear. So I think you all know where we're gonna head this episode. Little recap of all the NFL games this weekend. We'll do round two of the brackets, and we'll have a couple daily picks. So stay tuned. It's gonna be a quick little fun episode, but boys, just quick initial thoughts. How's your weekend? What are you thinking? What's going on? And then we'll get into the games.
I know I can speak for Gary right now when I say we feel fucking great after last night, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, honestly, I can't say I was surprised, but I was surprised. Our offense was just looking fucking ridiculous. Defense unstoppable. Shout out to MLK, had a nice little darty yesterday. Great way to just, start the week off right. Even though I do nothing but sit in this blue cave of mine and record all day. But we're feeling good, ready for a new week of content.
Sounds like it. Sounds like you're feeling great. Let's go ahead. We'll kick it off. We'll just go in order, and that way we can wrap up with you two just kind of going in. Let's start Browns Texans. Obviously, that was kind of an interesting game. Texans take it 45-14 in the coming of Christ CJ Stroud's first ever playoff game. Absolutely smoked, and I mean smoked, this elite Browns defense. It's absolutely unreal. I shouldn't have picked against them. I regret it so much right now. But boys, what did we think of this game? Because it was nuts.
Hard, go ahead.
I was gonna say it feels great, man, because Gary, we talked about this game a lot last week, and I think me and you shared the same sentiment that CJ Stroud was gonna have a nice game here. And I think all
Mhm.
the negative stigma around him being a rookie and having his first playoff game, there was a lot of, oh man, he is gonna shit the bed. He's gonna have a really tough time against his Browns defense. But quite literally the opposite happened. I mean, he shredded the Browns up. He looked great at home. He got that Texans crowd fired up in Houston. Really, really exciting for him. That team is legit. Again, we say it every time the Texans ball out, but D'Amico Ryans has done one of the best coaching jobs I have seen in recent years with those Texans this year. Betting wise, I mean, it felt good to go 3-0 on the first day of the wild card playoffs, two of which came in this game. The Texans money line, we were all over that for plus money, Gary. And David Njoku for 50 plus receiving yards. That was kind of juicy at minus 170, but I think he cashed out in the first quarter. He had two big catches, and boom, he was right over 50 yards. So that was a good play to get to.
Yeah, I made a couple plays right before the game started. I put a Singletary tutty on there, which ended up cashing. Singletary was just looked unstoppable, which was something that we're not used to seeing. He's a pretty mid player overall, but that game he looked great, averaging about 5 yards a carry, which is all you really need. And then CJ Stroud, Holmes already said it, looked amazing. But Joe Flacco, I mean, that was a weird game for him. Definitely an off game, two interceptions. Um, wasn't really expecting that to say the least. I thought it was going to be a little bit more contested than it was. Final score of 14-45. But, Texans came through for the boy, so that's all that really matters.
Yeah, it was a weird game, but hey, we got the Texans moving on to the second round of the playoffs, so you cannot complain about that. I'd say,
Sure.
early in the year it was all Jags all the time, and this is exactly what the Jags were hoping to be. Just a dominant team, getting hot at the right time, headed to the postseason. Look what happens. So,
Mm-hmm.
you never know. You never know what's gonna happen, but I do know what happened in this next game, and holy shit, have I really tried to avoid talking about it. Dolphins, Chiefs. Chiefs win 26-7 in the fucking frozen tundra. All right, I'm not gonna go into a full rant today. I'm just gonna stay calm, stay below the line. The Dolphins looked horrible. Let's just call it what it is. Chiefs did not really play that well. It's hard for any team to play well in that kind of a circumstance. They just played not as bad as the other team. And when the other team doesn't have any linebackers or pretty much anyone on their defense currently, aside from Jalen Ramsey, it's a little tough to shut down Patrick Mahomes. And on top of that, when your offensive playbook is reliant on very much a timing and windows opportunity and speed, and you have a QB who can't really throw that well in frozen weather, and the timing gets all fucked up, you're not going to have a successful playbook, especially when you end up running screens and handoffs the entire game. It's not a recipe for success. They threw it downfield one time and it was a touchdown. Other than that, they threw screens the entire game. And it's not something that's, I don't even know. I'm frustrated with the Dolphins. I think next year is the season to decide if Tua and McDaniel are worth keeping around, because honestly, after that, I just kind of died a little bit. So obviously I took the Dolphins in this. It was not a good look. Really had high hopes. Took the plus 4.5 spread. Felt like it would have been closer given the frozen temperatures, but I mean, we just look fucking terrible. Like, that's all I really have for you. So Holmes, I'll let you take it away. But yeah, I'm so sad.
Yeah, I hate to agree with you, man, but the Dolphins just did not look anywhere near like themselves in this game. And again, we talked about it a lot, but I think it just had to do mainly with the temperature. That was extreme temperature, man. Like I can't even imagine going out there trying to play a sport as physical as that in sub-zero
Mhm.
temperatures. I mean, that is just a ridiculous thing to have the human body go through. And you could tell those guys were going through it out there. I mean, that was something unlike they have ever experienced before. And you're right. It's not like the Chiefs played their ass off to win this game. I mean, they just played a little bit better than the Dolphins to be able to get a win here. I think the home field advantage helps out a little bit for them here. But as far as Tua and Mike McDaniel goes, I know there's a lot of people that's going to be like calling for their heads this offseason. There's going to be a lot of, you got to do this, you got to do that. I think you got to give it another year. I agree with
Mhm.
you. There's too much injury this year. Just the injury bug has infected the team, and it's been that way since probably the middle of the season. Realistically, I mean, first half of the season, everybody was healthy, everything was cooking, it was looking really good for Miami, but just the middle toward this last half of the season, production has just slowly fallen off because guys, every single game are dropping left and right, season-ending injuries. A lot of prominent guys on that defense that are mainstays, guys that produce well for your defense. So I think you got to run it back next year with these guys. You just got to hope that the injury is on your side next year, and you're not, or the health is on your side, and you're not getting as much injury going
Mhm.
into next year. But yeah, it's just a tough game for the Dolphins here. Only thing that came in for me was my only bet under 43.5. I mean, game like this, had to
It
expect it.
was a lock.
Yeah.
Yeah, real quick, and then Gary, I'll send it to you. Holmes, I know you saw this. I tweeted it out. There's 4 really easy keys to fixing the Dolphins. Really not that hard. One is depth. We need more depth, top to bottom. I mean, we have a 53-man roster. We have about 18 wide receivers. We don't need that many. We have 6 running backs. Like, we can cut 2 of them. And then put it more towards defense. Defense is the more physical of the two. You obviously have to protect that side more and give more depth. Another thing, we need an overhaul on the offensive and defensive lines. We sign a stud left tackle who's always hurt. I mean, I'd rather have 4 pretty solid starters than one superstar who can't stay on the field. And then the same goes for the other side of the ball. We need to bring back Christian Wilkins, and we need one more guy to pair up with him.
Yeah.
I already talked about the play calling, but the trickery aspect, like you need a secondary playbook for when that's really not going your way.
Yeah.
And then we need a leader. We don't have a leader on the offensive side of the ball, and it really does show. There's no one that's kind of making the right calls or enforcing anything. We have it on defense with Jerome Baker, but guess what? The fucking guy was hurt. And I know he felt horrible, but like, you need your leaders in the big games. Hurt or not, they need to be right there in your head. We just don't have that. We don't have that killer instinct of a leader.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you fix those 4 things and you make it at least to a championship game. but it's just, are they going to pull the trigger? But Gary, I'll kind of let you take it away.
Yeah, this is kind of one of those games where like I felt bad, honestly, like because it just nobody wanted to be there. It looked like I don't blame them, honestly. It was so fucking cold that like I wouldn't even want to be like within 100-mile radius of that game.
Hell no.
But I felt like honestly, as soon as the game started, it was all in the script, bro. Like this is Kansas City in the playoffs, first of all, so we know that they know what it takes to win. Second of all, Taylor Swift again, all over the cameras. Do you think that the NFL was really going to let Kansas City lose at Arrowhead in a game that was as iconic as this one? Like, because I feel like this game will go down in the history books as like one of the most iconic games ever played, not simply because of the score or how contested it was, but simply the conditions. It was talked about for weeks before the game even started. We all knew this was going to happen. And, it happened. And, you got these shots of Andy Reid's mustache being frozen on the field. Like, I kind of knew as soon as they were just like circle jerking the Chiefs that this was going to happen. But like Mondo said, the defense, I felt bad because they are hurt. And Kansas knew this going into the game. And that was what every play revolved around. Kelsey getting loose and hopping on a fucking slant. He's wide open in the middle every single time. And there was nobody there to tackle him. So as soon as they get in that secondary, they're practically free. And they knew that, and they were just bullying them the entire time, but there was nothing that Miami could do to stop it. So that was really unfortunate. Um, Another thing, Tua didn't look like himself in this game. Um, the reasons are quite evident. Obviously, it's in freezing temperatures, and this man plays in SoFlo all year. I don't think that's necessarily a bailout excuse for him because he is an NFL quarterback and, you play in different conditions all year. But he just looked bad, to say the least. I mean, there's not really much you can elaborate upon with that one. But one thing I want to touch on is Rashee Rice, for Kansas City. I think had a amazing game this time around. And I think he was definitely a key to success for the Chiefs for this game. Like I said earlier, Kelsey, of course, on these quick little slants, he's just a big guy. It's hard to bring him down. Um, but yeah, overall, just a tough look on Miami. Not really a way I think they wanted their season to end, but you know, let's just see how they play next year.
Yep. Yep. On to the Sunday games. Obviously, there should have been 3 games, but the Pussy Bills had to move theirs because they can't handle the cold. But let's go Packers Cowboys. Packers absolutely dismantle the favorite Cowboys. 48-32. It was the Jordan Love welcome to the playoffs party. The man's the hottest QB in football right now. Aaron Jones, fuck that. I just can't stand him. I needed 40 points in my fantasy championship. He was my final line of defense. And the fucker goes for 118 and 3 TDs in a playoff game. Cannot stand him now. But other than that, man, fuck the Cowboys. America's happy. Hallelujah. Go Pack, go. That's it. Holmes, what were your thoughts on this incredible game?
Yeah, massive win for the Packers, man. Jordan Love balled the hell out. That was so exciting to see. I mean, when they led that first drive right down the field, took the ball straight off a kick and scored a touchdown, I was like, oh shit, we're about to be in for a game, ladies and gentlemen. And that's where I knew that first drive, I felt really good about the Packers +7. I felt good about them most of the week. And I will be very honest, I did not think the Packers were going to win. I said it on one of the episodes, and I don't think they're going to win with 7 points. I think they'll keep it close. Especially, Gary, we talked about Packers are 3-0 in AT&T Stadium before this game. Now they're 4-0. It's something about it. I don't know what it is, but they win at Jerry World. Why? I don't know. It's weird as hell. There's some weird juju there. But this was incredible for America because the Cowboys choke again. They're out of the playoffs. The hype is gone. And now we get to watch Jordan Love continue this tremendous second half to the season that he has had. I mean, he has balled out for these Packers down the stretch. Looked absolutely great. in this game, 272 and 3 TDs through the air, no picks, pretty much no mistakes throughout the entire game. I mean, hats off to the Packers. What a massive win. Putting up 48 on that Dallas D at home. Sheesh. Crazy.
Yeah, which leads perfectly into what I was gonna say. And that's about the Dallas defense. We heard about them all year long, about how they were just this unstoppable force. I mean, the first week, I think it was in the NFL season, I think it was like their fantasy score was like 40 something points. Reason why I just got absolutely destroyed the first week, and a rude awakening to fantasy football. But they were nowhere to be found in this game. I mean, I don't think there was much defense being played by either team. This was just simply a shootout. But I am so happy to watch Cowboys go down. I mean, they call them America's team, but who in America really likes the Cowboys besides Cowboys fans? You watch a game where they're not even playing your team and you want to watch them lose. I mean, we all love to see it. And another thing that I thought was funny about this game was Jerry World. I heard Jerry World like 10 times while watching the game, and that was like a term I had never heard. And granted, while watching this game, I was pretty intoxicated, so I just kept saying Jerry World all night. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. Um, but I think the Cowboys definitely have to take a look at what is going on behind the scenes. Obviously, Jerry Jones is going nowhere until he dies, which, maybe we got a year and a half, 2 years. But Mike McCarthy, I'm curious to see what happens with him. I mean, he's now 1-3, I believe, for his playoff record, which is pretty disappointing.
With the
Obviously,
Cowboys. With the Cowboys.
yeah, with the Cowboys. So his regular season records have prevailed pretty well. I mean, they don't look bad during the regular season, but then playoff time, when everything actually matters, when everything you've been working for is right there in front of you, they do what Holmes was just doing, choking themselves out. So I'm curious to see what happens with them. Um, I think he might get fired. Twitter is saying otherwise, but we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah,
That was
I
an all-time
mean,
Gare segment.
that was all time.
That was all time. That was all time.
I don't know, Gare. I'm gonna be honest. I'm kind of with you on this. I mean, Jerry Jones is one to pull the trigger without any rationale. He has a little bit of rationale here, but the question is, who's he gonna bring in that's actually gonna mesh with them well? You need like a yes sir kind of head coach to be a Jerry Pet. And Belichick won't do it. Harbaugh won't do it. I mean, like, who's gonna be that next guy? Is it Vrabel? Would Vrabes come in?
I
Would
don't
you
think he would do
promote
it either.
Dan Quinn? Like, what would you do? Like, I'm kind of with you. I think McCarthy could get canned, but I just don't know who would it make sense coming in.
I
Kind of
don't know.
crazy, bro. You can call me nuts, but like if I were Jerry Jones, this is the wild take, but bro, you take a stab at Steve Sarkisian. Like no cap. I'm not even joking. I mean, I understand this was like the first big year with Texas, and he's 95% sure he's going to stay with that program. He's going to keep riding it. He's got a good thing going right now. But like, if you're Jerry, maybe kick the tires on probably the best college coach you got in the state there. See maybe if he's interested. Because if you're talking about a guy that is like a yes man, obviously somebody from college than somebody in the NFL is more likely going to fit that personality.
Yeah.
I mean, just my thoughts. I mean, Vrabel, I feel like he's out because I see him as kind of like a Bill Belichick guy. Like he runs his own ship, he runs it tight, he knows what he wants to do with certain personnel. And I don't really think he's going to take shit from Jerry either. So, I mean, that's a radical take. I don't really think that is in like the realm of possibility. But if you're Jerry, why are you not at least trying to kick the tires on that? See if you can bring him in for an interview. Just see how his brain works. Get a little bit of insight from him if you can.
Yeah. Gare, any thoughts?
I mean, the Cowboys have every weapon they need to go far. It's just, like I said, I think it just has to rely with the behind the scenes. I mean, you have arguably the best receiver in the league. You have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Like you have it all, but what is not clicking? That's just what needs to be figured out for the Cowboys at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Fair enough.
On to the night game. I mean, I feel like for most people, aside from obviously the games we were cheering for our teams, this was the one everyone was kind of looking forward to, right? Rams Lions.
Yeah.
It was the revenge game on both sides. Stafford coming home to Detroit, and obviously Goff facing off with the Rams, who just kind of kicked him to the curb. So we knew the storylines coming into it, and the Rams almost pulled it off. They lose 24-23. Gary, let's start with you. What were your takeaways from the game?
Obviously, going into this game, I was wrong, so I apologize. I had what I said was a gut feeling that the Rams were going to pull it off. And I'm not too disappointed with my take. I think it was very close. Obviously, final score 24-23. Both quarterbacks absolutely balled out. Stafford more than Goff by almost 100 yards. But I'm not mad with the result. I'm really not. Like, I think it's great for Detroit as a city that this happened. I mean, I feel like in Detroit, it's more than just football. Like, if you look at this city's history, it used to be something that was amazing, and now it's one of the worst cities in America. And I think that the amount of publicity that the Lions have brought into the city through their successful season this year, obviously winning a playoff, they're getting to play again at home next weekend versus the Bucks. I mean, I think it's awesome, and I'm curious to see how potentially the Lions going deep in this Super Bowl will impact the surrounding areas. I feel like, when we talk about football and you have these players and they always talk about, oh, it's more than the sport. Like, I want to, bring pride to my city. Like, I think Detroit is doing that perfectly. And I'm just curious to see how potentially football will expand onto the city's economic and social growth and see if they could maybe, turn this city into something great again. But good for the Lions. I know that I kind of went on a tangent there, but it's something that I think about, like, I guess as like a student and somebody who studies it, like just to see like how potentially this will change everything. So let's just see what happens.
Okay, Holmes.
Interesting perspective on it, Gary. I like that take. Um, I'm right with you. I mean, this is great for the city of Detroit. That field was rocking. Those fans were so into this game. It was back and forth from the get go. I mean, the first half was touchdown after touchdown. I mean, it looked like a shootout through and through, and then it really, really slowed down in the second half. No touchdowns were scored in the second half. But both QBs did ball out. I mean, Matt Stafford arguably had a better day than Jared Goff. 25 of 36 for 367 and 2 tutties. And he played through injury. I mean, he was getting beaten up out there and was still grinding through it. I mean, Jared Goff looked nice too. He was 22 of 27 for 277 and a touchdown. I mean, they both looked great. They both led their offenses the way that they needed to. I got this wrong in terms of a pick perspective. I had the over 51.5 in this game. And honestly, it was looking great in the first half. It was looking really great with all these touchdowns happening. But that second half slowing down and the defense kind of adjusting a little bit to what the offenses were doing, that slowed it down and made this an under game. But awesome for the Lions to be able to pull this out. Great for my Lions' future, too, to keep them rocking and alive in the playoffs. But yeah, this was definitely, I think, one of the games, if not the game of the weekend, everybody was looking forward to. I think it lived up to the hype. Close matchup, down to the wire. Exciting to watch.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, you can't ask for a better football game in the playoffs. Let's keep it real.
Oh, yeah.
Now, before I get to the Lions, let's obviously talk about the Rams and how great they did. Matt Stafford looked great. It's a lot of pressure coming back to Detroit for him. He played well. But that wouldn't be the case without the superstar rookie, Puka Nakua, who is absolutely dominant in that game, set a rookie record for receiving yards, 9 receptions, 181 yards, 1 touchdown. The man absolutely balled out. So all credit to those two. They played really well. Like Holmes said, no touchdowns in the second half. Really slowed down quick. So I think there were 3 total field goals, and that was it. So the Lions kind of made me worried there. They start out hot, and they've done this a lot this year. They start out hot, then they kind of coast. They can't keep doing that if they want to keep moving on to the later rounds of the playoffs. So I love that the Lions won. They played really well, but at the same time, you got to lock in all 4 quarters because none of these other remaining teams take their foot off the gas, you know? So, aside from that, congrats to the Lions. I mean, absolutely unreal to watch. Shout out to Eminem for finally seeing a playoff win. That was awesome for him. It's been a little while. But yeah, just a great way to end Sunday. And then we go over to Monday. Ended up having 2 games because, again, the Bills are pussies and don't play in the snow. So let's talk about that game. Steelers, Bills. Bills win 31-17. Holmes, give me your take.
This was a game that I think we kind of all expected. Bills were going to come out and win this one at home. I did think the Steelers were going to cover
Yeah.
this game, honestly, and they were kind of close. I wouldn't say that Mason Rudolph was awful. I mean, he made some mistakes, and the Bills made him pay for it. But I think the Bills' offense was just cooking all day long. This was one of the few games Josh Allen did not throw an interception. It was pretty clean all game. Had 3 passing touchdowns. James Cook got it going on the ground. Their offense just kind of looked unstoppable against the Steelers, and they got it cooking enough to a point where the Steelers weren't really able to make up that ground. As well as Mason Rudolph has played for these Steelers down the stretch to get him into the playoffs, just wasn't able to outduel Josh Allen in this one. So Steelers get a good 31-17 win. I missed on both of my bets on this one. I was all in on Najee Harris to score a touchdown and to rush for over 58.5 yards. Not a great game for him on the ground. He was stuffed pretty much from beginning to end in this game. So never really got it going. I think he was outrushed by Jalen Warren. So tough one in this one for Najee. But Bills keep it pushing, and it is going to be a good Bills-Chiefs matchup this upcoming week that we'll talk about pretty soon.
Yeah, just to kind of touch on that real quick. I can't wait to see Taylor Swift's thoughts of Bills Mafia. I think that's like the crossover event of the century between the Swifties and them. And I really just want to see what happens on Twitter and all the videos that come out of it. Could there be, like a hay burning of a Taylor Swift statue? I don't know. Like the possibilities are endless with Bills Mafia, and that's why I enjoy it. But this game was as one-sided as you could get it. Like you, Holmes, I took the Steelers plus 10. You like that, Gary?
That's fucking stupid.
Steelers were like the FSU of the NFL postseason. They probably shouldn't have been in. But they held their own. They battled against a really hot Bills team. You live and you learn. They're the Steelers don't have enough weapons. They don't. They don't have a QB right now. Their wide receivers are all divas. I mean, you can't win games like that. You just can't. So shout out to them for battling. But yeah, Bills by a landslide in that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the FSU horse has more holes in it than a damn sponge at this point. That was a crazy comparison. Steelers to FSU. Um, but yeah, I mean, not much to say on this one for me. It was kind of something I expected. Also, you could call me a pussy, but halfway through the game, I put 50 bones on Steelers to cover plus 27.5. So that hit. So that was pretty nice. I just didn't see them losing by 28 points. Like that's just embarrassing. But that was a smooth little live bet. That's one thing I want to say. I will get better on posting my picks before games, but I am definitely a live betting kind of guy. I like to, see how both teams are playing and then make my bets. Obviously, live bets are a little risky, but I do love a good little live bet, and this was a good little live bet for me. So,
You had to have done it in the first quarter, right?
Yeah, I was at Mother's and I was about 3 or 4 Long Islands deep. I had 10 wings in my belly and I was like, hell yeah, plus 27.5. We're riding this shit. So, hey, that was free food for me. That's the way I looked at it. So shit.
Damn.
Respect.
Good for you, Gary.
Respect.
All right. Let's wrap it up. I've got nothing to say other than shout out Jason Kelsey on an incredible career. The Eagles suck. Figure your shit out behind the scenes. Gentlemen, take it away. This is all you.
You got it, Gare.
Yes, we fucking did it. We beat the haters. We made it past the first round of the playoffs against arguably, disregarding the past 5 games, one of the best teams in the league. And we did it in not a blowout fashion, but definitely an ass-beating fashion, 32-9. I didn't think I was watching the same team, to be honest. I mean, our defense all year has been unstoppable. We stopped the fucking tush push. I texted Holmes as soon as it happened. I was like, bro, we just stopped the tush push. And before the game even started, I was in the living room. I was like, watch, they're gonna try that tush push bullshit. And before the game even started, they the NFL brought, I can't remember who it was, to the New York Museum of Science and had him sit down with Neil deGrasse Tyson. And Neil deGrasse Tyson goes, it's impossible to stop the tush push because if you think about it, they're propelling off the force of the earth and they're going before the defense even gets to go. So theoretically, it's impossible. Fuck you. We stopped it. Also, I'm gonna keep this momentum going by talking about my boy Rashad White. Rashad White, you are a fucking animal, and you better not stop running for the entirety of this playoff run. We got the fucking Lions next week. We're going to Detroit. I know I went on that whole spill about how I want to see Detroit do great, but honestly, get fucked with a 10-inch stick because I want my Bucks to keep it pushing. Baker, you looked amazing. I would kiss you on your forehead if I could. Um, but yeah, that's really all I gotta say about it.
Holy
Holmes,
shit.
anything to add?
Oh my God, another Gary all-time segment. That was amazing. That was amazing. Holy shit. Jesus, like literally did almost everything Gary said. Fantastic win for the Bucks. This was such a fun game to watch as a Bucks fan. We're on the Bucks money line from probably early last week when they were plus 135 before the AJ Brown news. We felt it. We knew this could happen. Eagles were on such a slide coming into this game. The Bucks were playing so well. Panthers game had us nervous, only putting up 9 points against the worst team in the league. Coming into this one, I mean, the offense turned it up, dude. Baker played out of his mind. What an amazing game. 22 of 36, 337, and 3 touchdowns for that man. No picks, no mistakes. I mean, that guy went off for us. And it was so exciting to see him move that damn offense down the field because that is not something that we have seen consistently at all this season. Rashad White had a great game on the ground, and god damn it, that defense was relentless. I mean, Jalen Hurts had no idea what to do against the blitz. Zero clue. Every time we brought pressure, that man had to get that ball away as soon as possible. The defense played outstanding. Hats off to them. Like you said, Gary, they've been kicking ass all season, and they showed up in a big time way in this game. I mean, as I know Jalen Hurts coming into the game, there were some things about his finger, maybe on his ankle. He was beat up a little bit. But, I mean, they made him pay, dude. They made him pay. That defense was all over him all night. Hats off to them. That was such an awesome performance. Go Bucks. Let's go.
Also, I made a promise last episode about the Vita Vea jersey. Vita Vea jersey will be here by Super Bowl Sunday.
Nice.
Hell yeah. All right, one more question, and then we'll get into the second round of our brackets.
Do it.
Is Nick Sirianni getting canned?
Oh yeah.
Yep, I am going to stay on my take that I had last week. Thought it was hot last week. I think it's hot this week. Thought the loser of this game, their coach is going to be fired, and I would have the same sentiment if the Bucks lost last night. I would think Todd Bowles should be fired today, but he didn't. He got that team to rally, and he got both sides of the ball to perform very well against the team coming into it that had everything to play for. Nick Sirianni, man, I just think there's a lot of clown behavior that guy does on the sideline. I think at times he can be a little bit immature. And I just don't think that's the type of leader that Howie Grossman at times wants for this team. Because he knows how serious Jalen Hurts is. He knows how all about winning and getting better he is. I think he wants to find a head coach is going to match up really well with that personality, because I think he's starting to see Nick Sirianni may not be the guy to mesh well with him. And I get it. They went to the Super Bowl last season, but to have the turnaround that they did at the last 6, 7 games of this season, play as poorly as they did, to not even look like they were interested in that playoff game last night, I feel like that says a lot about the head coaching and not getting your guys up and ready to play in a game like this.
Yeah, I mean, because the Eagles had every weapon they needed to beat us. Like I was 60% confident that the Bucks were gonna win, but that was also because I'm a delusional Bucks fan. So like going into the game, like I was expecting, my dreams to be shattered. But like it was just like you could tell that there was just a complete vibe switch on the Eagles team and a complete vibe switch on the Bucks team. To see Baker like getting fired up like he used to in college, like I swear to God that like just spikes my blood pressure so bad, but in a good way. Like I'm like, oh yes, like he's fucking gonna whoop ass right now. Like he's just fired up. And then like, Todd Bowles, like, I still don't really know how I feel about him. I still feel like he could get canned at the end of the season. Um, Fuck me, what was I gonna say? I'm just fired up, man. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Jason Kelsey, bro. I feel like, Mondo talked about it, but I feel like that man should be fucking inducted in the Hall of Fame whenever it comes time. It was really sad watching him walk off the field last night. And not even before he walked off the field, but in the last like 3 minutes of the game, you can kind of see it set in to his eyes. Like he was crying. And, like I feel like that's 100% respectable. I mean, that is not the way you want to go out, especially not with a team that was, regarded so highly throughout these past couple seasons. So shout out to him, but yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. I mean, feel for the dude. Obviously, you want to go out on top. But back to Nick Sirianni. I think he should be canned not for anything he did in this game, but if you get bitched up by an Eagles fan with a bucket of popcorn wearing a Hassan Reddick jersey and you don't fight back, your ass should be canned. That was fucking pitiful. That was the most disgraceful thing I saw this whole weekend. And I watched the Dolphins offense play. That was awful. Absolutely terrible. What a pussy. He should be fired. Anyway, Gary, would you like to read out where we stand with the brackets and then take us through each game and we'll give picks?
Yeah. All right. So Holmes, pick the Texans. That was a W. Pick the Chiefs. That was a W. Cowboys. That was an L. Lions. That was a W. Bucks. That was a W. Bills. That was a W. And then Mondo, pick the Browns, that was an L. Dolphins, that was an L. Cowboys, that was an L. Lions, that was a W. Bucks, that was a dub. Bills, that was a dub. So he's at 3 L's. Hard at 1. I picked the Texans, W. Dolphins, L. Cowboys, L. Or
Yes.
yeah, Cowboys, L. Fuck me. Rams, L. Bucks W, Bills W. So I also have 3. So I miscounted before we started. So
Yeah.
me and Mondo are tied.
That's fucking right, Gary. You bastard.
Come on, Gary.
Damn.
It's tough. So now how do we do it? Do we automatically like have to take the other team
No,
in
just
the
keep the same
matchup,
style,
or do
man.
we
Like
just
we got the matchups now, so just pick who you think's going, and we're just going off record right now at this point.
cool? All right, Gary, take us through.
All right, first games. For Saturday, we got Texas Ravens. Currently, the spread is Baltimore -9. This game is being played in Baltimore. I'm gonna take my pick. I don't really think I need much persuading on this one. I'm taking the Ravens. They've had a week off to prepare for this. And Lamar Jackson is primetime Lamar at this point in time. So I'm taking the Ravens.
Okay, Holmes.
Yeah, I'll agree with you, Gear. I think the Texans, they've had a great run up until now. We've enjoyed rooting for them, but Ravens have looked like a juggernaut so far this season. They've beat a lot of good teams. They've looked really great, especially at home. I definitely think they're going to win this game. It's likely that I will try and take the Texans to cover this game. The spread looks a little big just for how well they've been playing, especially the momentum off of last week. And I like that they didn't have the bye week to rest. They just continue to play. So I might take the Texans to cover, but as far as the bracket is concerned, yes, I will take the Ravens to also win this game.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with you guys. I'm taking the Ravens here. I don't really trust that Houston Texans front D line, especially against Lamar Jackson. You obviously have Mark Andrews coming back, so I feel like it makes too much sense to go against the Ravens. So I'm taking the Ravens. Or, yeah.
All right. So the next game we got Packers Niners at 8:15 on Saturday. Current line is set at San Francisco -9.5. Game is being played in San Francisco. I am taking the Packers for this game. I know people are gonna look at me like I'm crazy for this, but I have a bad taste in my mouth from a group chat that I'm involved in. I was talking a little smack last night to one of my Lions fans, and I was like, "I'll see you next weekend." And he goes, I'm not worried about playing you. I'm worried about playing the Niners after we beat you in that round. So, I was like, fuck you. Straight up. That's what I said. The man is damn near 50 years old. I'm a 21-year-old college kid. I just said, fuck you. And that's just really how I feel about it. So I'm taking the Packers simply because of the disrespect. I know this sounds like how I used to sound on the beginning of this pod, but straight up, it's a fuck you mentality for this week. And I think sometimes that's all you need. So I'm taking the Packers.
Okay. Holmes.
Yeah, as crazy as it sounds, Gare, I am also going to take the Packers. Um, not for any reason you just stated whatsoever, but because I think, like we just talked about the last game, I really like this game in terms of the Packers continuing to stay hot, and I think the rest can work against San Francisco here. I don't know what it is, but I just have call it a Gary gut feeling about the Packers. You get all of that momentum going into Jerry World last week and beat the shit out of the Cowboys, team that you were not even supposed to come close to beating. I think that gives you a lot of juice coming into San Francisco. Packers fans are going to travel well. Jordan Love has been playing really well. It's going to be a really close game, and I think it could come down to like a field goal win in it or something wild. But I am going to take Green Bay in a massive, massive upset.
I'm gonna take the Niners, but I want the Packers to cover the spread.
Respectable.
So betting wise on Packers, obviously for the bracket, I'm taking the Niners. They're rested, they're all healthy now. Like obviously, the Heat versus rest could play into it, but with that much star power and that many people coming back from injury, like it almost feels like too much of a no-brainer to go for the 49ers. So
Fair.
I'm gonna go Niners here.
All right. Now Sunday. We'll talk about I mean, both of these games are pretty huge, so we'll just go in order. Sunday, traveling to Detroit. Detroit -6.5 versus the Bucks. I'm riding Bucks, of course. And I just think we have so much momentum, and I feel like this game is just going to be an off game for the Lions. And that's the thing with both of these teams is that is their kryptonite is they both have really good games and then they both have really bad games. So I mean, I guess that's any team, but like it's very easy to see within both of these teams when they are not performing to their best potential. But I'm taking the Bucks because I feel like we just have so much momentum after getting through that first round. It's gonna be loud as fuck. I don't think Bucks fans travel very well. That's just my personal opinion. So it might be a little overwhelming whenever we step on the field for offense, but I'm taking the Bucks just because I have to.
I'm going to take the Lions in this one. I am going to take the Bucks from a betting perspective. Just obviously as a fan, I I'm gonna throw a few dollars down on it because why the hell not? We've been looking good. And I'm also gonna hedge because I have the Lions' future right now. I do believe in that. I think the Lions are a gritty team this year, and I think that's going to show up now in the playoffs, like it did last week in a really close game, one that really could have gone either way, and they came out on top. So I'm going to take the Lions here at home to get a win. But when it comes down to picks later this week, I'm going to be riding Bucks.
Taking the Lions, but you guys know I'm a little slut for the upset, so I may do the same thing as you, Holmes. But I gotta hammer the Lions here. I like them too much. I don't know. There's something in the water in Detroit, and it's not just lead this time. So I'm gonna take the Lions in this game.
Damn, dude, that's tough.
I left Gary speechless.
Yeah. Interesting. That should be a quote. Next game, we got the Chiefs and the Bills. I believe going to New York, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Buffalo currently favored -2.5. I like the Bills to win this game. Um, I don't know why. I feel like at this point in the game, like with playoffs, I feel like at this time it's just kind of like what you really feel. And I just feel the Bills. Chiefs traveling. Curious to see if Taylor is there. If so, I want to see her face when the Bills absolutely disrespect the Chiefs. So I'm taking the Bills.
Yeah, I'm going to be with you, Gary. I'm going to take the Bills too. I just think this is finally the year they get off the schneid and beat the Chiefs in the playoffs and to like not have the ghost of Pat Mahomes haunt them for the rest of the offseason. I think they're going to get it done at home. They do not have to go to Arrowhead. I think that's a big advantage for them in this game. And frankly, just down the stretch, I just think that they've been the better team. They've had to play better, and they have played better. The Chiefs, on the other hand, I mean, they've been pretty much locked into the playoffs for most of the season. So at times they have definitely let their foot off the gas and have not looked anywhere near the dominant Chiefs they have been of recent years. So this is a big game for the Bills, and I do think that they will come out on top. It will be a close one, I'm sure, but I'm going to take the Bills here too, Gary.
So, fun fact, this is the first time ever Patrick Mahomes has had to play on the road in the playoffs.
Yes, sir.
The first time ever.
First game.
Not ideal to have to go to Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, if I'm not happy, nobody in the AFC East can be happy. Give me the Chiefs. Fuck the Bills. Nobody gets to win if it's not me. Fuck them. Go Chiefs. That's my only rationale today. And as fans, I know you guys can understand it. So
absolutely.
Gary doesn't understand it.
I respect it. I just don't understand it. That's the difference. But I feel like people don't really understand me half the time, so I can't really be one to judge, put it that way.
I mean, I get it because you're not in a very competitive division as compared to the AFC East, which everyone wants to slit each other's throats. So it's like, as a Dolphins fan, I hate the Patriots. I hate the Jets. I tolerate the Bills out of all of them. But if I can't have a Super Bowl, these fuckers can't move on in the playoffs. That's what it is.
So you don't want to see somebody from your division win it. You would rather
No.
see the overslurped, oversucked, overfucked Kansas City Chiefs win it.
Yes, that's exactly what I said.
All right, well, you heard it here first. Mondo likes
I
the
am a
Chiefs.
Swiftie for one night only.
Wow.
And
Might
it's
as well,
simply because I don't want the Bills to win.
might as well
I
castrate
want
yourself
Ryan
while
Niles
you're
to
at
be
it.
very upset.
All right, well, I think that's it for our picks. Holmes, you got any basketball, anything, hockey?
I tried to look at some stuff and did not really find anything that I love tonight. if anything. I definitely didn't find any basketball. Mondo, I know you have some basketball picks for tonight. If anything in hockey, I kind of like the Oilers at home against Maple Leafs on the money line. Blackhawks at home against the Sharks on the money line. Both of them, I think, are minus 150 right now. So not horrible value there, but I have not been super great in hockey. But I'm going to continue to shout out Nick Lipinski because that man is feeding goal scorers of the day. That Ryan O'Reilly goal that we had last week on the pod, cash because Lip is the man. So Nick Lipinski, you are the GOAT.
Yeah, on the NBA side of things, I got Nurkic over 13.5 rebounds plus assists. De'Aaron Fox over 5 assists. Jokic over 24.5 points. And Harden over 30.5 points, rebounds, assists. So just a quick foreplay for you guys. Gary, you got anything?
I actually do have one now that I'm looking.
All right.
God damn. I will take the Gators in NCAA men's basketball today against number 6 Tennessee, not on the money line, but to cover the spread. It is currently at 9.5. And where is this one being played? Ooh, it is being played in Tennessee, unfortunately. But I will still take the Gators minus 9.5. They've looked really good this year.
I don't know what I did. But this is what is this?
Reviewing your whiteboard.
You can draw.
Okay. How do I exit? Okay. That was sick.
We're about to
That
get
was awesome.
about to get age restricted here.
Crazy.
But
Crazy.
yeah, no, I'm taking the Gators plus 9.5. Game starts in 10 minutes, so obviously that won't happen. You're not gonna see this. LOL, get fucked. But I will post it on the Twitter. It's gonna be a solo pick.
Don't tell
Just
our fans that. That's fucked, bro.
But yeah, last couple things I'm gonna say. I touched on it in the last pod. Um, you know, we here at Unbettable are all Gators. Mondo's an alumni. Austin Hart is an alumni. I am currently in my spring semester of my senior year, so this is my last semester. And Mondo kind of touched on it last week, but the rebrand is going to be happening eventually. I guess I just got put on
Don't
hush
say the
mode.
name.
Oh no, I'm not gonna say the name.
Okay.
But it will be coming this week, I hope. We got a few more things we got to finalize. But if you are a Gator like us, you're gonna love it. That's all I'm gonna say about it. It looks clean as fuck. And also one thing we kind of thought about when we were doing it is eventually we want to make merchandise for everybody that supports us and loves us, and we appreciate all of y'all. And we feel like our audience is definitely catered to those Gators, and nobody wants to see a bulldog on your shirt. So that's all I'm gonna say about it.
Yep. Yeah, so expect something to come potentially Friday. I'm still working on it. Have to talk with Gary more on how we're gonna do it. So I have a couple ideas in mind, and we'll dive into it. With that said, if you guys did enjoy, please like, subscribe, share with everyone you know. Guess what? The more people that subscribe, the more I can afford to pay for merch that you guys can then buy. So get on it. You want some clean ass merch? All you gotta do is subscribe and tell your homies to subscribe. It's that simple.
I was doing it at a Darty yesterday.
Yeah, he was.
That was my Riz. Although it didn't give me no play, that was my Riz.
I've got coworkers in professional sports following this podcast. Share it with your boys. It's not that hard. Share it with your girlfriend, her fam. My girlfriend's little brother calls me Big Dog.
Nice.
And then give your girlfriend my ad. What? That's crazy.
Yeah, Gary's. Yeah, okay. And on that note, we will see you guys on the next episode. Peace.